Should you captain Erling Haaland or Mo Salah? What should we do with Gabriel and Bruno Fernandes? Find out in this video. We're going to start off then with the all-important captaincy decision, and I'm going to talk first about Mo Salah. Now, in my opinion, if you have Salah in your team, you've probably bought him with the knowledge that you could well captain him in game week 2, noting that Haaland played 90 minutes in Greece on Wednesday and then has to play a further game on Saturday, so very little recovery time there. That means I think Salah, regardless of what happens in terms of returns, Salah I think is going to play more minutes than Haaland in game week 2. I've just got a feeling regardless of how he gets on, Haaland is due an early-ish sub. I would suggest as well, Salah, he looked really upset when he got subbed off against Chelsea. I think he's going to start in game week 2, and I think that's going to be renewed motivation for him as well. Noting, of course, playing as a midfielder in the game, Salah gets extra point for a goal and some clean sheet points as well. And I do think Bournemouth have improved on last season, so I don't think it's going to be a repeat of how the fixture went last season, but just noting that Liverpool beat them 9-0 last season, somehow Salah didn't get a single return in that game. I think that's just a complete anomaly though. I think Liverpool will do well in the game, score a few goals, and Salah is a really good captaincy choice. Obviously, I don't need to say much about Erling Haaland. He's owned now by 90% of the game. He is the most owned FPL asset in history, and if you don't have Salah in your team, you don't really have a choice in my opinion. You've got to go for Haaland. And really, when you look at the fixtures I'm going to put it in inverted commas, struggles in, it's realistically only the away games against the top teams. So he's got Newcastle at home. If he was playing them at St James's Park, I would say it's quite a clear-cut decision. But yeah, he's got them at home. So that's makes it a little bit more tricky in my opinion. And having watched the Newcastle-Aston Villa game, whilst obviously Newcastle blew Aston Villa away, Aston Villa really caused them problems in defence with Watkins and Diaby running in behind. You know, Newcastle had a tough time of it, so I think Haaland playing in a similar way to that is also going to give them a tough time. Also, when you watch Haaland play, he doesn't need to be involved in the game at all to score a goal. I mean, he could have one touch in an entire half, and that be the touch that he needs to score a goal. I would say even with limited minutes, he could do well in that game. So, like Salah, he is a perfectly decent captaincy option. However, when you look at the expected points data according to my friends at Drafthound, you can find a link in the description to access the website yourself. Salah comes out on top by nearly a whole point, and you can see that's actually quite a big difference compared to the difference between other players. I think if I had Mo Salah, I'd be giving him the captaincy. I think he's going to get more minutes. On paper, he's got an easier fixture. He gets more points for scoring goals and gets a point for keeping a clean sheet. I think Liverpool have the highest clean sheet odds of any team this game week as well. I really do think Salah, of all weeks, could score more points than Haaland this week. So if I had him, I think I'm recommending you to captain him. Gabriel up next then. And my conclusion, I'd keep him. He started all 73 previous league games for Arsenal. I'm really counting the Forest game as a complete anomaly. And just in general, he had the highest expected goals amongst defenders last season. He should have scored, according to the expected data, 5 goals. I would also suggest that it was a tactical decision why he was left out of the first team. I think Arsenal needed to set up slightly differently with more progressive passers amongst their team in order to break down Nottingham Forest. Just in general, I think it'd be a bit too knee-jerk to take him out at this stage. I really do. I feel he's going to play next game, and he's probably going to play for the rest of the season. I think it just suggests that his place is not nailed in the team. And if you really wanted to get rid of him, I'd even suggest just keeping him for one more week anyway. I feel like if you rolled this week and gave yourself 2 free transfers next week to deal with the players you're unhappy with, you'd be in a much better position. Because when you look at Gabriel at 5 million and below, are there players that are attractive at that price? There are. Saliba's just gone up to 5.1 million, so you might be priced out of going sideways to him. And then realistically, with the fixtures they've got coming up, you probably want to get yourself on some of the Chelsea defenders, obviously Chilwell and James. And both of them are 5.5 million, so you'd probably want the extra cash to upgrade your team next game week, and you can do that with 2 free transfers by rolling. Another player you might be considering getting rid of if you have him is Bruno Fernandes. Now, looking at his average position against Wolves, you can see it here. He was in line with the number 7, that's Mason Mount, basically playing in centre midfield, and his average position was basically outside of the opposition's box and quite far back as well. That's a bit different to where we saw him towards the end of last season when he was playing more advanced and looking really attacking, and where most of that 16.7 expected assists you can see there came from. Yeah, they didn't look great against Wolves either. They didn't really show much penetration. They couldn't really break the Wolves team down, beat their press, etc, etc. And there are so many midfielders in the game for a similar price or cheaper that could well be better. Certainly they looked better in game week 1. I'm going to go through some of them now. First up then, we've got Bukayo Saka. Now, if you don't have him already, then this applies. I imagine most people watching this video have got him, but in my opinion, FPL have made a huge mistake on his price. He could be 10 million or above, and he would still be a good option. Of all the Arsenal midfielders, he's going to play the most minutes, and he played the most minutes last season. I really do think he's going to improve on last season's total as well. 14 goals, 11 assists. He's already got off to a flyer against Nottingham Forest. I think he can improve on last season's total. I think on paper he is probably a better asset in general than Bruno Fernandes. So if you were looking to get rid of Fernandes and don't have him, an absolute shoe-in my opinion. Now, assuming most people already have Bukayo Saka, I think the best replacement in that case is James Maddison. Saves you $1 million. He looked really attacking in his debut against Brentford. Got 2 assists, one from a free kick that was an absolutely magnificent cross. It looks like he's absolutely nailed to play for Spurs. With Kane going, they really need him to stay fit, to start him every game, to give them that creative outlet. The only thing is he could be slightly injury prone based on his record against Leicester, or for Leicester, should I say. He had a fantastic season for them last year as well. Remembering they got relegated, he only played 30 of the 38 games, but he's still got 19 attacking returns. And if you look at the upcoming fixtures for Spurs, Man United at home on paper might be challenging, but I don't think Man United are that strong away from home defensively. Then they've got Bournemouth, Burnley, Sheffield United, then Arsenal in game week 6, which is obviously a tough fixture. But the run of the next 4 games is fantastic. And I think Maddison's probably the best replacement for Bruno. In my opinion, though, I think you should keep Bruno Fernandes. Regardless of how you thought Man United played against Wolves, Bruno still put up some decent numbers you can see here from the SofaScore stats. He's always got penalties to fall back on, so regardless of what game, what opposition, if Man United get a penalty, he's going to take it and has a chance of scoring. He's always going to play every game that he's fit for 90 minutes. He proved that last season. And I just refuse to believe that Erik ten Hag watched that Wolves game and was happy with how the system he lined up worked out. I think he's going to play Bruno more advanced in future games. That's really where he's most effective. Remember at the start of last season when Man United weren't doing so well, Bruno was playing back in midfield then. And towards the end of the season when Man United started doing well, he was playing more advanced. I just think he works better in the number 10 position. And I think seeing how the system worked against Wolves is going to show Erik ten Hag that. So I've still got good hopes for Bruno Fernandes. He also plays Nottingham Forest in game week 3. So are you really going to sell him for Tottenham away and then Nottingham Forest fixture? I just think those are also really strong fixtures that I'd be worried about not having him in. So in general, I think I'd keep Bruno. Alright, and that's the end of the video. I thought those were the major talking points coming out of Game Week 1 and going into Game Week 2. Now we've had the Arsenal press conference that gave us a little more info on Gabriel. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rating and subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there, and I'll catch you in the next one.